So take a breath with me here. Just put your hands on your abdomen and let's take 3 belly breaths. Inhale, abdomen out. Exhale, belly button back to your spine. One more time. Inhale, abdomen out first. Exhale, belly button back to your spine. Good. One more time. Inhale down to your abdomen first, then your chest, then your throat, and release. In those 3 breaths, you can reset. You can be present. And as Sarah said, making yourself a priority is what this is all about. Because I've always said that no matter what the problem, love is the answer, but it starts with loving yourself. And think about how loving are you being to yourself right now? How much do you give yourself the information and the activities and the thoughts and the care that would really allow you to bring your highest self to everything that you do? So that's what I want to give you a few tips on. And I guarantee you, unless you're an old wise crone like I am older than you. I am 78. Yes, I'll pause for the, yes, thank you. And at 78, I have survived 6 different cancers, including stage 4 lymphoma, breast cancer, colon cancer, and thank God I am well. Sadly, I have lived with my daughter's addiction for 20 years, and she passed 4 years ago. And I feel like I have some wisdom to offer you. And basically what I'm going to do is give you my hand and my heart and say, this is what's worked for me. I'll also share what hasn't worked for me because I don't always walk my talk. But let's start with body, mind, emotions, and connection to your spirit. So let's invite yourself to think about, what are you doing for your body? Are you hydrating, eating the right food, getting enough rest, moving, exercising? I know for me, if I get on the floor for 10 minutes in the morning, that stretching, moving, lubricates everything for the rest of the day. So you don't have to get to a yoga class or Pilates class or feel that you're not doing it if you don't do it. Get on the floor for 5 minutes. There's some things you can do in bed that loosen your spine. So just be mindful of starting your day with some movement. And then for your mind, offer yourself some meditation. And as a meditation teacher, I can tell you all the ins and outs of how to do it. But here's what I'm going to suggest. Do it for a minute. Just lay in bed, do a couple breaths like we just did, and allow yourself to just be. You're going to have thoughts because either a lobotomy is the only way you can stop thinking you're dead. So you will have thoughts. Meditation isn't Zen, I'm not thinking anything. It's allowing yourself to acknowledge that you're more than your thoughts. Your body, mind, spirit. You're this higher self. And I'll go into that a little bit more. So allow yourself to meditate for just a few moments. In a perfect world, if you could journal, Julie Cameron talks about the artist's way, where you journal for 3 pages to just get the noise down. When I've done that, it's very helpful. So any of those, just start. And if you don't do it every day, that's okay, but just be mindful and then drink a lot of water. And again, when I do that, I lose weight, my complexion. Do I always do it? No, but I'm suggesting we all do it. So for your body, there's a lot you can do. And Sarah has a lot of offerings that she gives in her podcast, and you can find that there. But let's talk about your mind for a minute. Let's talk about all those limiting beliefs. Let's talk about all those habits and behaviors you picked up from your family of origin, about how you should be and the world should be. And a lot of us are codependents or recovering codependents, where we grew up with a mandate to be nice and pleasing and caretaking and take care of everybody to our own exhaustion. So let's look at those limiting beliefs and see how we can change those. And then let's go to our heart and notice how we don't always express our feeling. We exile some of our feelings. So we'll push aside some of the feelings that we may have learned in childhood weren't going to get our needs met. So if we felt sad or scared or hurt, some of us pushed aside our anger, because codependents aren't supposed to be angry. So we pushed all that aside. And instead of dealing with those feelings, we learned how to manage. And we manage by being nice, pleasing, caretaking, hardworking. But we all have inside of us a higher self that's calm, clear, and compassionate. But we don't always live from our higher self. So we exile our parts that we don't want to deal with, those inner child. Then we manage in ways that we show the world. But a lot of us put on what I'm going to call a pseudo self, where you look like you're, quote, in self, but you're really feeling these feelings underneath that you're not feeling. So what do? When we can't manage and we start to feel those feelings, what we do is we get extreme in some ways. So some people eat too much, drink too much, get addicted to something, get enraged, get depressed. There's a lot of ways to manage. My personal ways that I get extreme. I look at too many reels on my phone. I go have too much sugar. Those are my ways to know. What are your ways? So I want to help you in the next few minutes get to your higher self. And just because I have them, I'm going to show you my little dolls. Just a minute. I'll show you when we get to the relationship. So hang in there. All right. So we've got your body that you're going to take better care of. We've got your mind that you're either going to learn how to journal or do a gratitude journal or something to get those thoughts out of your head onto paper. Your heart is where we're going to talk about when we talk about relationships, when we talk about therapy or counseling or doing what you need to do to acknowledge your feelings. Because we're so good at not acknowledging our feelings, we can spiritually bypass our feelings. We can be fine. The Al-Anon acronym for FIND is effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. Just so you know, if you're ever fine, it's a hint. But we don't have to be fine. We don't have to be strong. In fact, our vulnerability, our honesty about our vulnerability is our biggest superpower, to be that transparent and to ask for help when we need it. And to be part of support groups like Al-Anon, which I went to for many, many years. And when I first went to it, I went 3 times a week and I sat next to the Kleenex and I cried for an hour because it was a safe place for me to be in touch with my emotions. I've now created some heart-centered circles where people come together and we just talk about what we're feeling in the moment, not our stories, but our feelings, because our feelings are universal. So whether you have a friend or a therapist or a support group or heart-centered circles, get in touch with those feelings and express them because they need to move through you, right? So we've got your body, your mind, your heart. Now let's talk about your spirit. Take a deep breath with me here. And every client that comes to my office, I do individual counseling, couples counseling, divorce mediation. I teach groups and other professionals. But I always ask people, what's your word for spiritual? And it doesn't mean you have to believe in God, but what is it besides your ego, your mind, your thoughts? It might be God, it might be higher power, universe, nature. It might be just the true self underneath all the shooting you do on yourself. But when I ask people what's their word, let's assume it's something like nature, universe, God. And I'll say, where is that energy? And it's everywhere, but it's also inside you. And the more in touch you can get to that higher self, to be, quote, in self, the better care you're going to take of yourself, because you're going to bring all that compassion that you give to other people, you're going to bring it to yourself. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So we've covered briefly body, mind, heart, and spirit. And now I want to put it into context because we're all in relationships, right? So take a moment, and we're going to do this real time right now. Take a moment and think about somebody with whom you're having conflict. Okay, could be a spouse, a partner, a child, a parent, a coworker. So just think about it a minute. I'm going to go very fast through this, so forgive me, but I want to get you to the good part. So when you think about that person, notice what happens to your body. You're already judging them. You're already reacting. You're already wanting them to change. You're already feeling mad or resentful or hurt or judgmental or guilty, right? So your body starts to contract. So what I want to help you do is separate from your parts. So you get in touch with that self energy that is already there. You are a human being, you are a spiritual being having a human experience. And the more we get in touch with our spirit and connect to that higher self, the more we can take care of all of the parts of us that hold burdens from our past. And when we do that, we show up different in our relationship, which changes the relationship. Because the person you're thinking about, you're not going to change him or her. They may choose to change, they may not, but the only power you have is changing how you relate to them. So I'm going to show you how to relate from your higher self. Okay, so when you think about what do you do? What does he or she do? How do you feel? What do you say? How do you react? Are you withholding, judgmental? Do you yell? What do you do? And notice that your body constricts. So put your hands on your abdomen. Just do another belly breath to bring a little more self in. And then release. And now let's do this for about 3 minutes together for you to get a felt sense of what being in self means. Okay, so just join me here. Just gently close your eyes. And as your feet touch the ground, imagine that they're growing roots to the center of the earth. And as those roots grow deeper and wider, you're going to feel very firmly rooted and planted and grounded, like a tree or a mountain, so that whatever swirls around you isn't going to take you off your foundation. And you're going to invite that nurturing energy up from the earth, up your feet, your calves, your knees, your thighs, your hips, your groin, your stomach, your chest, and into and around your heart with all the feelings that are there. And then you're going to invite that nurturing energy to go up through your throat, behind your jaw, behind your eyes, to your forehead, to the crown of your head, and then out the crown of your head all the way to the sky. And you're going to invite down from the sky, nature, universe, higher power, God, what's ever out there. Invite down some energy that's very calm and very compassionate. So breathe even bigger than yourself. So you surround yourself with this calm, compassionate energy of self. And then focus that compassion inward. Start at the top of your head and notice your body to the soles of your feet and just notice. Notice any tension or tightness. Notice your thoughts. Notice your feelings. And as you notice all these parts, let these parts notice you, supported and surrounded by this calm, compassionate energy of self. And then if you would, imagine yourself going through a doorway into a beautiful scene in nature. The air is perfect, the sun is shining, and you see before you a path that you safely walk to the base of a mountain. And what you're going to do for just a few moments is to separate from your parts and go up the mountain in self. So ask all of your parts that are worried what you're going to do when this talk is over if they'll separate. Ask all the parts that have agendas for you. Ask the parts that are worried about what you have to do today. Ask the parts that are upset about the person with whom you're having conflict. The parts that judge him or her, ask those parts to separate. Ask the parts that judge you to separate for decisions made or not made. Ask the parts that feel guilty when you take care of yourself or should on yourself, if they'll separate. Ask the parts that are worried about anything, health, finances, relationships. Ask all your worried or scared parts to separate. And even ask your hurt parts and neglected parts if they'll separate too for just a few moments while you go up in self as high up the mountain as you want. And if you're thinking any thought or feeling any feeling that isn't peace, it's just a part from which you can separate for just a few moments. So wherever you decide to stop on the mountain, along the way, or at the top, just rest. And look at the view from up here. You may be aware of another presence, you may not. Either way is fine. And if you want, you can put your thumb and forefinger together to anchor this place as a place to come back to, because in just a few moments, you're going to go back down the mountain. But before you do, in your mind's eye, picture that person that you had conflict with at the top of their mountain, without all of their parts attached. And as much as you can, send compassion in their direction. So in just a few moments, you're going to go back down the mountain to collect your parts, even if there's a part of you that doesn't want to, because you're going to realize that once you give your own parts the attention they need to unburden the pain from the past, they carry their own wisdom and light. So taking back your parts ever so gently, come back down the mountain, back down the path, back through that doorway, and back to your room. Just breathe. So hopefully you're able to feel like what it means to be in self. And when you are, you learn to take care of the parts that are carrying burdens. So let's say you have a worried part, then you give a lot of compassion to the worried part. You can even journal with the worried part. And I often journal either longhand, and I take a piece of paper, I write self, who can I help? And I see what part needs my attention. And then I just take dictation. What am I worried about? What's on my mind? And I write and write until I get it out. And then when I'm done, I write a love note from my higher self to that part. I see you. I understand you. I'm here for you. And just acknowledging your parts with compassion, they calm down. And you have more self-energy to come back to your day, because it's not, you got this worried part, you got this judgmental part, you've got this to-do part, you've got this perfectionist part. I forgot to mention her. She's one of my favorites, right? And all those codependent parts that need to take care of everybody else. Just breathe and come back to that present moment with a breath. And another breath I want to show you, because it's really good at lowering blood pressure, is to inhale for 4, hold for 7, and release for 8. So let's do it together. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That will actually lower your blood pressure. So either the belly breaths, those breaths, there's other yoga breaths, but just allow yourself to come present. We're too often planning the future, ruminating about the past, and just present moment awareness brings us more peace. So I'm looking at the time because I want to make sure that I don't keep you at our coffee chat too long. So I've got just a couple more thoughts, if I may. Okay, I want to give you the 5 steps to get what you want and need, in case you want to write these down. And then I want to give you my spiritual graft, and then I'm going to let you go. Okay, here are the 5 steps to get what you want and need. Here are the words you write down. Know, deserve, ask, receive, grateful. And here's what it means. Most of us codependents don't know what we need because we've been so busy taking care of everybody else. And once we think about it and make a list of what do we want, it's not just what we need, what do we want? What are our dreams? What's our purpose? What's our dharma? Give yourself permission to dream, because dreams are important, and that's what you want. Step 2, which is hard, is to know you deserve it. And Sarah was talking about how we always don't know we deserve it. Get some help with that. Get some counseling. Let go of the limiting beliefs or the trauma that's happened to you. Okay, once you know what you want and know you deserve it, the ask becomes a request. It's not a demand. It's not an ultimatum. It's not a whine. It's just a simple request. And then the person you're asking has the ability to say yes or no, and you can make decisions about what you want to do about that. But the 4th is be willing to receive, which is hard for us codependents because we're so used to giving. But learning how to receive is also an act of grace. And then when you do, be grateful. So once you know you deserve it, can ask for it, receive it, and be grateful, that will have the flow of you getting more of what you need because you deserve. So that's the 5 steps. The spiritual graft I wanted to tell you, but first, just before we go, here's my parts. We each have an inner child, right? And in an inner child, guys often, pardon the gender bias, guys often try to look cool, not talk about their feelings, and girls often be codependent. And this is my codependent doll. I bought her looking exhausted. She used to punch her stomach and say, I love you. She doesn't even do that anymore. She's so tired. But we try to be codependent. And then when we don't get our needs met, people get angry at each other and they get reactive. And then they come see me because they're fighting. Deep breath. We're going to thank all of our parts, even your angry parts, withholding parts. They're trying to protect you. But once they can trust you coming from your higher self, you can speak for your parts instead of from your parts. You don't have to be codependent. You don't have to be cool, but you learn to talk about your sadness, your fear, your hurt, and you do it with empathy. where you go to the top of the mountain and you listen, understand, and empathize with someone else in a way that models how they should do it for you. And that's all in my bundle that I'm offering. So is the meditation that I just did in the bundle. So be sure to get your care kit. And let me tell you, last piece is the spiritual graft. Ready? Here goes. I believe that most of our problems in life are because of our ego's wounds, the parts of us that grew up with beliefs of how we should be, how other people should be, with expectations that somebody once said expectations are premeditated resentments. So any expectations we have, shoulds, the need to be in control, all those ego things that we hold on to so tightly. When we don't get our needs met, when something happens, someone disappoints with, we're wounded. So here's my spiritual graft, GRAFT. Gratitude, radical acceptance, forgiveness, and trust. So here we go. Whatever you're wounded by, be grateful for the things you do have. If you're in a relationship, you're not sure if you want to stay or go. Make sure that you're grateful for what you do share, the home you've created, the children you've made together. Radically accept the situation as it is, because in that acceptance, you have peace. F, forgiveness is a big one. You forgive yourself as well as everyone else, because forgiveness sets you free. It's not about condoning what someone else did. And then the T is trust, and it's trusting in everything we're talking about, that you are on your path to get the right support, to listen to the right podcast, to work with the right coach or therapist, to tap into your inner knowing, your inner self more regularly with meditation, a gratitude journal, a walk in nature, a breath, whatever it takes you to get back. So I want you to have more joy, okay? And the way you do that is namaste, that the self in me sees and appreciates the self in you. My hope is that you know how exquisite you are, as you are. No need to change. I mean, yes, I'm still changing at 78. However, it's never too late. You're never too old, and never say never. And congratulate yourself and celebrate yourself and love yourself completely and totally, because you're perfect just the way you are.